Let's move into the NFL. Free agencies just kind of started this week, and it's been on fire to say the least. I mean, even as we're recording right now, you got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to do a special on Friday covering pretty much most of the major moves, but there are a few moves that have happened in the past couple of days that we want to get to first. And Chief being among that, Russell Wilson is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, presumably going to be the starting quarterback for the Steelers this year. I would think it would not be Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett. Somehow, if those guys beat out Russell Wilson, I would think Russell Wilson is definitely washed. So, barring that, Russell Wilson is going to be the new starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. His deal is really good. I mean, he's only going to make 1.21 million this year. I mean, he signed the literal league minimum for a vet. I mean, look, and I understand Russell Wilson isn't, what he was, during the let Russ cook years, the MVP, candidacy years. But if they even get what he was last year and a little bit better, it's absolutely a bargain considering what they're paying for him. With the Broncos paying most of his salary. So I'd say it's a win for the Steelers. I'd say it's definitely a win for Russell Wilson. Will I think the Steelers compete? Really competitive division in the AFC North, but I absolutely love the move. I think if he can at least be exactly what he was last year at the minimum, which is a lot better than what the Steelers had at quarterback for most of the year, I think they should be able to compete.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. This is a good move. I think for the Steelers, they've had the kind of QB questions. I think he's going to come in, kind of put a rest to those questions. I don't know. He had questions in Denver, but I think he's got a lot to work with here in Pittsburgh. I think this is a good move. I think pairing him up with Mike Tomlin is a good move. He's obviously still getting bank from Denver, so the deal is smart to kind of doesn't get any more heat for having a massive deal. And there's a little less pressure. You just got to come in and hope that he doesn't be the starting quarterback to ruin Mike Tomlin's streak, I guess. Otherwise, though, I think this is really positive. I'm excited to watch Russ try to make something happen with that Steelers offense. I think he can really elevate those players. And I think it's a win-win for both teams. So the Steelers don't have to commit a whole lot of money to trying it out, and it could have pretty positive impacts. So be curious to see how that goes. There's going to be some stiffer competition in that division. We'll get to that here a little bit further down our list of big signings here for the first part of free agency. But this is kind of the opening part of free agency, and I think it was a really good opening move. So I think it's great. I think he's going to really elevate that team. Speaking of team elevation and potentially killing their division, Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. Much bigger deal, $800 million deal. Got a $50 million signing bonus. It's a 4-year deal. Kirk Cousins, obviously, potential MVP candidate despite the Vikings suffering last year. Just couldn't close out games, which is the exact opposite of the year prior. He goes down to Atlanta and gets to run an offense that's going to have, he's got Bijan Robinson, he's got Kyle Pitts, he's got Tyler Algier, he's got Drake London. He's obviously a really good quarterback himself. That defense is honestly not too bad either. I mean, that was a good part of their season last year. Jesse Bates III was definitely a shining part of the flailing, horrible NFC South. Also, Arthur Smith is going to be over there in Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. He was a good offensive coordinator before he was a terrible head coach. So maybe he'll return to good offensive coordinator thing. But that also means for Kirk Cousins that he doesn't have to deal with Arthur Smith's player usage and can probably make really, really good use out of an offense that has those guys. We talked about this a little bit before the show. There's been some debate on which weapon room is better. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is a great weapon. But so I think you take Jefferson over London for sure. But after that, I would take definitely Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier over the Vikings running back room. And I really like T.J. Hawkinson. I think with the right mind behind the team, I think I would take Kyle Pitts over T.J. Hawkinson. So I do think that Kirk is really stepping up into a good team. And the Falcons are in a division where there's a lot of confusion going on. We have some confusion to talk about with our Panthers. I refrain from using the term beloved at the moment. And I think that the Bucs are going to be stiff competition. They have a good defense, and Baker was looking good in the playoffs, and that's going to keep them looking good. But this is obviously a lot of money. Kirk's going to get a big contract, but I think, in my personal opinion, that based on the division he's in, based on the weapons he's giving, I think this is a big move. I think that the Falcons are going to look really productive. They were like what 7-10, 7-9. I'm not doing good season math right now. 7-9 with Desmond Ridder as quarterback. And I think that it should be easy math to say that they get better with Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, the whole NFC South was kind of, a joke. It's been mostly a joke the past few years, if we're being honest here. So, look, I mean, this Saints are right above them at 9-8. The Buccaneers won at 9-8. We obviously were, you know, the dregs of the league, but even the year before, all these teams were kind of in the running, late in the season. When the Bucks won the division, like with what 8-9. So
Yeah.
it you would think theoretically, I haven't seen anything that would indicate that the Bucks going to get worse. Necessarily, they brought back Mike Evans. Baker's getting a deal. I just don't think they'll be much better. So, maybe if they had just had a little bit of improvement, a lot more consistent quarterback play. I mean, they were doing a lot of QB carousel nonsense down in Atlanta, and the Saints are kind of just weird. They're gonna have to finagle the cap a lot, as they seem to pretty much do every single year now. So it's definitely going to be. I wouldn't say like, oh, outright the Falcons are the favorites, but they clearly got the best QB. So in a division that's that tight and that mediocre, I'd say that probably matters. So especially with Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, if they all get to their peak, at least close to their peak, while Kirk is here, because I mean Kirk's 35. I don't anticipate Kirk playing like another. I don't know how many more deals he's going to get after this one, right? This will be over. It's 4 years, so after the 2026 season or 27 season, I guess you should say, um, we'll see if that's just it for him. So if they can at least get close to their peak while he's there, definitely gonna be a good playoff team, I would think. Because you've seen what this team has looked like without competent quarterback play. So with at least at least better than half the league at quarterback, they should be pretty good. So definitely good signing for him, especially money wise, but good signing for the Falcons as well, I would think. Now moving into the running backs, we got two big ones to talk about. To start off with, there's a whole lot more going on with running backs right now, but it's just too much to even get into. I mean, it's the running back market, I guess. All the trades, the signings, everything's going crazy. We'll get to all that on Friday. But to start, Saquon Barkley, this one surprised me. He's going to Philly. I mean, I texted you like all caps. What? I couldn't believe it. So Saquon, he goes to Philly. Tiki Barber says you're a dead man to me. Die today, burning. I ain't gonna go that far, but Tiki Barber, of course, he was a really good running back for the Giants. I don't think you or I can't speak for you, but I don't think we really remember him like that because he retired. Funnily enough, Tiki retired the year before they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots, which is always ironic to me. It's like you have your best 3 years, you retire, and then they win a Super Bowl without you. So maybe he's just always kind of been angry after that. I think Rondé is a lot more loved than him. But for Tiki to come out and be like, you're dead, it's just like, dude, if they had paid him instead of giving all that money to Daniel Jones, like, look, I know Saquon's not getting Daniel Jones money, but you wouldn't be in this position. So I'm not even gonna get mad at Saquon for going to Philly. I know Jason Kelsey obviously retired. The O line's not gonna be as good, but still pretty good. Like, I like the move. The Eagles, they've had some retirements, of course, with Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey. So they're kind of in this just little weird position right now. But I really like the move, to be honest with you, for both guys. They lose DeAndre Swift. They get Saquon. Hopefully he stays healthy. But, sorry for the Giants there. I'm not going to feel bad for him in this situation.
Yeah, I don't think the Giants should get too much sympathy in this one. I think that there's a a big thing to be said here about the. I think Josh Jacobs said this um, after he was moved, or he moved from the Raiders to the Packers. It's another move that happened there, not a super massive one, but he was like, everyone talks about player loyalty. What's gonna, when do we start to talk about team loyalty? And I think, the Giants put all their money into Daniel Jones. Clearly, we're not able. Obviously, a running back's not going to get quarterback money, but they franchised at him. They put off paying him. They didn't want to pay him, and it's kind of surprising that he goes to the Eagles of all teams specifically, but. Eagles gave him a contract. I think Tiki Barber's got to step back and realize that they didn't want to pay that guy, and he's moving on to bigger and better things. Obviously, he has placed himself in a much better, much more opportune position. But other than that, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work. I think it's going to be good for him. Eagles have had some rocky things occur to them with players retiring or players being moved, but I think they moved from DeAndre Swift to Saquon Barkley. I think that's a pretty big win. I would say that's a good move for the Eagles, and Saquon got his money, so I think that's pretty good too. From there, we have a probably equally big signing, not a divisional war movement, but we have Derrick Henry, King Henry himself. Finally, is gonna leave Tennessee. Gave him all he could. Couldn't get quite as far as he wanted to, and he goes to join Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. 2 years, $16 million deal. Could get up to 20 mil. Gonna have 9 mil guaranteed. Pretty decent deal considering he's had some health issues recently. But the Ravens talk about the Eagles moved from DeAndre Swift to Saquon Barkley. The Ravens lost Gus Edwards yesterday, and they said no worry. Gus is great. Got a lot of touchdowns. Not worried about it. We got Derrick Henry coming. They fill that hole in with Derrick Henry, and I think the Ravens offense was always had a good run game, and last year they really helped fix their passing game. Zay Flowers got experience now. Hopefully, we'll learn from some of his mistakes. And then, of course, you got Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews have been playing good football, especially when they're healthy. And now you're going to add Derrick Henry to elevate a running game that's already been really good. This is scary for the league. This is a big move. This is a big move towards Super Bowl hopes. Also, Derrick Henry ran a lot of trick plays with the Titans. I don't know if that'll factor in much here, but I mean, maybe with Lamar's capability as a runner and Derrick's capability as a passer, we can see some creative trick plays if Harbaugh wants to go there. But maybe not. I think either way, though, this is a big move. I like it for Derrick. I like it for the Ravens. It's got a lot of potential to really cause some damage to the NFL.
Wow. So I'm. We actually just got a little bit of news. I'm gonna break this right now. Before I get into Derrick Henry. So the Carolina Panthers are trading for Deontay Johnson from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's a move. We were just talking about Russell Wilson getting to Pittsburgh. Having those weapons up there. I know a lot of stuff's been kind of going on with the Steelers and their receivers. I mean, really for the past 10 years, it seems like. But hey, we get Deontay Johnson, so that's nice. Hey, at least we get something, out of all this mess. But yeah, with Derrick Henry, it's kind of funny because we had all these great matchups with Baltimore and Tennessee. A couple playoff matchups. You mentioned the trick plays, like running. He had like that touchdown pass in that Baltimore divisional round game, I think, a couple years ago when Lamar won the MVP first time. Like it's a lot of classic moments between these teams. So kind of funny that's where he goes. And Baltimore, they have a lot of good running backs. It's just a lot of these guys can't stay healthy, So for me, I think and Derrick Henry obviously still pretty good. It's not like we're getting, peak Derrick Henry. I wouldn't imagine. Maybe he might be rejuvenated, but I don't think they need him to be the 2020, 2021 Derrick Henry. Like he was outside Christian McCaffrey, undisputed best running back in the league. Like I don't think they need that. They just need a really great running back, which he still is, and somebody that can he'll carry a lot more of the load, I would imagine. But they'll still have some good running backs, and hopefully they can stay healthy. He can stay healthy, and that obviously with Pittsburgh, tooling up with Russ. I know it's two different sides of the ball. They're going against each other. It's not like Russ is playing defense, but see these teams in the AFC North kind of tooling up. haven't really seen the same for the Bengals. They letting people go. We'll get into more of that on Friday. But now to move on to the Panthers, we just talked about it, getting Deontay Johnson, but we are losing, seems like pretty much everybody on defense. Main one being Brian Burns. He's getting traded. Well, he was traded to the New York Giants, which is why I don't feel bad for them losing Saquon Barkley at all. We got the number 39 pick and the number 141 pick. So, we talked about this before we came on. Everybody and their mama was saying that the Rams offered 2 first-round picks for him a year ago. I just don't understand why, if they weren't going to pay him what he wanted, why not just make the trade? Like, did they think that after a year they would say, like, let's just go ahead and give him the money, or oh, he'll take less money? Like, I just don't, like, if you weren't going to do one of those things, and if he wasn't going to agree to less money, and if you weren't going to give him the money, why even bother franchise tagging him and then trading him for less? Just trade him from the beginning. So I understand why they did it, but it's just kind of frustrating. I mean, we also lose Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chin. I like his. It's just frustrating, and we're going to talk more about this on Friday. But at least the Deontay Johnson move makes me a little bit more happier. But
yeah,
I can't sit here and vibe with the fact that we're going to just decimate our defense. Sure, we can improve our offense, but if we decimate the defense, which is the only thing that really kept us in games last year, like, we're just going to keep going back and forth like every couple of years. So I get the move for the Giants, absolutely. That's going to be a pretty good defensive line. I get why we traded them. I'm just, 39 pick, not horrible, but it's just kind of frustrating how all this played out.
Yeah, it's this is frustrating. We keep our show pretty clean, so I'm gonna be tame. But sometimes being a Panthers fan, I feel like somebody keeps pulling me out of my room just to like hit me in the head with a frying pan, and then throw me back in and pull me out just to beat me in the head with the pan again. It's tough. Every time I've gotten a notification about the Panthers since free agency started, which has only been less than 48 hours, it has been a beatdown. Except for this Deontay Johnson thing, I think that's good. But the big thing is, yeah, we have a good young defense that has been keeping us in games throughout these rough seasons. We've been trying to figure out getting the offense together. We get Bryce Young, we trade our soul for him, but we get him, and now we can try to make some trades happen, try to get some pieces. And if we have to trade some defensive pieces, that's fine. We moved Dante Jackson for Deontay Johnson. That is fine with me. I've been angry at Dante Jackson probably more than I've been happy with him watching Panthers games recently. So that's not the worst thing. He also has some injury problems. That's unfortunate. But, we lose Brian Burns for a bag of Cheetos and a Diet Coke, which I mean, we ain't got much to give up, I guess, anyway. But it's the fact that we could have had some first, and then we end up franchise tagging him, and then we trade him away for some seconds, and we don't have a first round pick in this, in the draft. Lose Frankie Louvu to free agency. We lose Jeremy Chin. This guy was someone we were trying to develop, but we lost Yada Gross Matos as well. It's just just a lot. We're just losing a lot of our defense. So if somehow, some way, we have a powerhouse offense and we just get scored all the time, maybe that's better. maybe that's a better place to start from. We did add a no lineman from the Dolphins, gave him way too much money, but I mean, he was good. He's got the infamous big man touchdown for them where he did a flip into the end zone. So if you can, I've seen people saying it's Bryce Young's best weapon. Maybe not now that we have Deontay Johnson, but it's tough. Being a Panthers fan is tough. I did see a thing this morning where they were shaming the Cowboys. It was a Bleacher Report posting 31 of 32 teams made a move at free agency, and the 32nd team, the one that didn't make a move, was the Cowboys. But I almost felt like, looking at the post, I was like, I don't know, man. If the Panthers didn't make any moves, I think I would have felt a little better by the end of today. I'd be frustrated, but I think I might have been a little happier than the moves we made. So this is the Deontay Johnson thing is a better step in the right direction. I would hope that we can continue to add weapons. T. Higgins is on the market and has been a favorite to land here, but that might be shot now with Deontay Johnson. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to pull that off. Not that we couldn't have both. I think that we absolutely have the room to have both of them thrive here. I'm just not sure, how much do the Panthers really have to give away, is the big question. But yeah, they're frustrating. We will talk about that more in depth Friday when we have, much more to cover. But these have definitely been your biggest moves. And yeah, I think for the Giants to pair up Brian Birds with the rest of that defensive line, that is insane. Their offense might not do much, but that defense will be scary. They are turning themselves into us, actually, I think. They're an okay offense that probably can't keep up with most defenses, but a defense that will ruin your day is seemingly what the Giants are turning into. And maybe that's what they want to do in the NFC East. They just want to ruin people's days. um, but for us, it's if you had to go, you had to, it's one of those things where I'd rather keep him. We keep losing all of our young stars. But if we're going to move him, I would just like to get more than we got. So maybe they're cooking. Maybe they got something going on. I watch a lot of sports, men and women, and I would say that the Panthers and, by proxy, Charlotte FC and the MLS are two of the worst run teams in sports. And I watch a lot. There's a lot of. I could give a list of all the teams that I'm a fan of right now. It's a lot of leagues. Watch the WNBA, NWSL. I watch the Premier League. I watch a lot of college games. I watch the NFL. I watch the NBA. There's a lot to keep up with. I watch the MLS. The Panthers and Charlotte FC, both ran by David Tepper, are in shambles.
Buns.
It's bad. So I just want to, not in an exaggerated way, not in like I'm a depressed Panthers fan who's trying to make a dramatic case. I genuinely think, with the wealth of sports watching that I do, that the Panthers and Charlotte FC are two of the worst run sports teams I've ever seen in sports, and I really hope that can change before I'm old and dead. So hopefully the Panthers have some better things in mind as free agency continues, and maybe we can make some magic happen with the draft, but we'll see. Otherwise, these are your big free agency moves. I think for me, the Derrick Henry and Kirk Cousins are going to be the biggest ones, but the Saquon one is definitely kind of league shocking when you break down, where he was and where he went. I think those are going to be big. But yeah, thank you for breaking the Deontay Johnson news. That brought a shine to my 7 p.m. on this Tuesday. That was a light in the dark as we were about to move into the Brian Burns segment. So good news.